Bren here. Today, I wanted to share with you the importance of focus by simplifying. So we get really distracted daily, and you want to do a lot of things in life, of course, understandable. But if you really want to achieve something extraordinary, you have to commit to one thing. And this is really harder than people think, or we think. Because we feel like committing is limiting ourselves, right? So let's say if you're not committing anything, you can be anything. That feeling is great if you are young. And then when you're young, definitely you should explore, but with reason. It's because when you become successful means people just throw away, oh, I want to be successful, whatever. But what that mean by that is you attain your mastery in some sort of the direction and then be able to utilize that with supplemental skills like a communication, networking, or finance, and so on. Whatever the ability you have. You have to gain those. If you lack those, you might be able to actually be really successful by like a savant. Like you can do just one thing really well, but then you might probably get ripped off in other ways. The world is a lot of like opportunistic actors. That's how the reality is. So if you're naive, it means that you are not really learning as much as possible about the world, it means like a reality, then it might be a problem. So what I'm trying to say is explore, but commit 2 to 4 hours to one thing daily at a minimum. That's your primary goal every day. It should be. And I will tell you why that's not limiting to whatever you want to do. You might say, okay, what if I do like what I like for 2 to 4 hours daily and I miss other things that I wanted to kind of hang out with friends, socialize, whatever that is. You would not miss it, first of all. One thing is socialization, that the important part about the socialization. There's a saying in, let's say, like a tech sector. If you're in your 20s, if you have a good social life, you're not going to be successful. Socialization becomes more and more important only if you have certain skills or ability or something to offer to others. Otherwise, you're just kind of hanging out and very, very likely you're just wasting your time. So hard things is always to do your thing. And then when you do commit to your craft, then you will get better at it. And then the interesting thing about your craft, whatever you do, right? Like let's say if you do music, if you do painting, or if you do like an entrepreneur, or if you do business, if you do study, whatever. There's a lot of things that connects. One thing will actually open up other venue as you get better. So for instance, if you're an artist, the better you are at it, you have to learn how to do business with that skill. Then that's an adjacent skill that is necessary. So you start learning that one. And that's part of actually your core. That's actually a supplemental skill, but then it's an important one. So when you do the core, you start noticing what's necessary to raise your core activity. And then actually you can do a lot of things, not just the one thing. So let's say if you're painting and you are afraid that, oh, I just don't want to be just the painter. But then in the meantime, to support yourself or expand, promote yourself, you might get into the social media, you might learn how to marketing. You're going to start learning a lot of things. But let's say if you don't have any of these, right? Then just kind of scattered any of the core things going on. But then you start kind of just learning like, oh, I learned this business, learned that, whatever. And then you might think you are actually know a lot of things. And then probably you do. But your knowledge is going to become very, very shallow. Basically, shallow means this. It means it's like you're going to have an answer, but then you don't quite understand how that one set of knowledge or practice will make your life progress in a long term to achieve the exponential return. So your really goal of your success is to get that exponential return. Like let's say if you spend like daily 5 to 10 hours, put your work, and then you'll make money or financial reward to the point that you can, let's say, afford your house or travel around, right? That's, to me, a lot of people's success look like. And then you can go more and more. I'm talking about financially, but then more and more. You have to probably figure out the more strategy once you get that place. You can actually get that type of like experience by going deeper, not wider. Because when you go into the deeper, you understand how to create things, how to move things. When you move things, it takes time. It takes 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. It's an iteration of that. And then you have to actually strategize. You have to pivot once in a while, that type of things to get to A to B. And then you always have to cope with uncertainty. This kind of things, if you spread too much, you will not experience. Just because if you fail one thing, you're going to switch to the other. And then if this one fail or doesn't feel right, then you're going to just switch to another. And then you just kind of hop it. And eventually time just passes, but nothing really deep is being built. That's the problem. So exploration has a real important purpose. And it's so important to be curious because a lot of ideas are connected. So if you get stuck, you can bring one field idea and then incorporate into another. And this is like a very useful thing. If you're a painter, you might be able to possibly like sports. It might be completely off topic, but then something inside of the sports you might be able to incorporate into your work. You never know where the creative comes from. So the exploration is important, but then you have to have your primary focus. So when it comes down to it, to move your life forward, you have to simplify your life, because complexity means it's like you wanted to add this, okay, you wanted to do this. This will always come to your way. I want to watch this. I want to have this app. My friend is calling. My parents is expecting me to do this, or my friends or my girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever are always expects me to do something. There's just so many things. And not just the outside, but from the inside, the more you do, you understand that, oh, I want to do this too. I want to do this too. There are so many things that you want to do. But complexity is the enemy. You can for a period of time, but then once in a while, you have to look back and say, hey, how can I simplify my life? How can I simplify what I do? And then bring whatever you do to focus. And that's one of the most important skills or principle that you can learn in life. Because if you have that focus, and if you know something is not quite beneficial in life, just taking a lot of time. But then if you can find that, if you can focus on that daily, 2-4 hours, I don't think it's enough. But even if that, like if you can find it, you're in a right path. So simplify relentlessly and know that the mastery requires a depth and a time. And then you have to be consistent. And then that's what you're going to learn, or what you are experiencing when you get to do one thing to get to the mastery. So if you can resist the temptation of complexity, doing a lot of things, or being a lot of things. And then you can focus on the one thing in life. And then you can actually set the time limit. Okay, I'm going to do this, focus on. But don't think the focus means is like go direct. Means it's like a simplistic way. Okay, I'm going to do this or be one. So I'm going to just do like obvious, like everybody else is doing. Focus means it's like you really strategize, explore how to get to A to B in a different ways and to pick the best course. But then to find that little strategies or the path that you have to simulate, of course you have to have a focus. Otherwise you're gonna just say, okay, this is probably obvious. Then you just do this like what everybody else does, and that's just leading to an average. And I don't think anybody here watching is looking for average. So find your focus, and by simplifying, and your life will get much better. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like and share your comment below to help each other, and I'll see you next week.